Comedian Shane Gillis will be the host of SNL this month, and a lot of people who remember his comments about Asian people and other groups from about 4 years ago are not very happy, and a lot of his old stuff is resurfacing right now, so we got to talk about it.
Yeah, we got to talk about it because, man, Shane Gillis is probably the hottest comedian in the Western world right now. I want to say specifically America, and this has the internet, Andrew, in a fury. We're talking about hardcore Shane Gillis fans going against quote-unquote wokey people. Other people are in the middle, hoping for maybe he's changed his ways. So make sure you like, subscribe, turn on your notifications. Check out Smala Sauce at smalasauce.com. It's sold out right now, but it's still Sichuan and Sicily. New batch coming soon. I'll tell you this right off the bat. I'm of two minds about this because I'll say this. It seems like in the past 4 years, Shane Gillis has done a ton of damage control. He's shown himself to be incredibly talented. His comedy muscles are 10 out of 10. And obviously he stayed away from Asian jokes. But the truth remains, had he ever made those comments about any other group, Black, Latino, he would not be able to come back from it. So generally, I'll say this. It shows more that America's really about who's hot. And it also shows that making jokes on Asians don't really matter. But I don't think that Shane Gillis is a bad person.
Okay.
And he is clearly very talented.
Okay, so that's your take on it. I think that I understand why a lot of Asians are mad because just to rewind, guys, and to remind everybody and refresh everybody's memory, this was during the pandemic. This is before he blew up and got big. There's a clip of him on this very, very small, obscure podcast, but he's saying racist things about Asians. He is, for context, in a racist character. He said, let me imagine what a racist person would say about Asians, and he's saying all this racist stuff, but it gets clipped up. He says racist stuff about Andrew Yang in the same manner, and then he loses his SNL
Well, he uses
job.
the C word. Calls him an ink.
He uses the C word. And he's also said, like, things are gay and other things like that, like in a jokingly, but also...
Well, Andrew, let me tell you, that podcast that it was small that got him canceled from SNL is making like $400,000 a month now. So it goes to show you it's not a small podcast anymore. So, Andrew, what's your feelings on it? I mean, he said it. He got canceled. He got kicked off SNL. A lot of people say it was the best thing that ever happened to him. He rises up to be a huge, some people say center left, some people say center right comedian in a time where comedy seems to be swinging back towards the right.
Like, to me, he represents like that hilarious, witty football player buddy that you had back in high school.
Yes.
And he's a very American dude. He's got the American stripes. He went to West Point, played college football. He has those marks. He also makes fun of himself for like possibly coming from a Down syndrome family or whatever. He's done a lot to prove that he is a hilarious comedian since then. And he has not really offended people, I guess, too much since then. But yeah, he still's got the strikes on him. So I think I don't really have a problem with him hosting SNL today. I think him losing his previous SNL job was the right thing to do. You can't give someone a job right after you say all that kind of stuff, even if it's in a joking way. So, but for me, I'm not celebrating him, but I'm also like I don't think I'm going to spend a lot of my energy fighting this.
Right.
That's just not, he is funny. I've seen a lot of his material since then. Yeah, but he did those.
He's like Anthony Davis. He's like a beast at comedy.
Again,
but I will say this: I probably would not be friends with a lot of Shane Gillis hardcore fans. His fan base seems like I'm kind of like, definitely some of you guys definitely might be kind of racist.
No, dude.
I don't think he is. I actually think some of his opinions are center left. I think sometimes he's center right too. But like he's pretty centrist, I would actually say.
It's funny because some of the fans are a little bit overzealous and being like, "Oh, Shane could do no wrong. He's hilarious. He's the next gen of comedy.
He's the only representation of me in the mainstream media."
Some people see him as like the savior of pure comedy. I don't know if I'd go as far to say that. He is funny though. He's funny, guys. Trust me. I've seen his clips.
People are riding for him, Andrew, like they rode for Chance the Rapper when Acid Rap dropped. Yeah. Like they're riding for him on that level, like almost like Daniel Caesar, or like.
All right, so two things are true. I agree that had he said the N-word with the ER, the really bad one, even in a joking way back then.
Or any version, I think.
Yeah, I don't think he comes back and hosts SNL. I think that's too hard of a hit. Saying the C word, he can rebound from it eventually.
Well, a lot of comedians have. Sarah Silverman bounced back from saying the C word because isn't the truth that nobody takes it serious? I'm not going to blame Shane Gillis. He toyed with the way society is, but in society, people do not take racism against Asians serious at all. And you can argue that even Asians are split on how serious to take it.
I don't think Shane Gillis is the problem. He's not the problem. He's not the root problem. He's just the symptom.
He's toying with the way society is.
It was how it is. You know, it's a lot bigger issue to Asians. I think Asians, we have to decide on our own how hard and how militant we are as a group. And I think a lot of Asians are split on it. Some Asians are very, very militant, and some Asians are willing to let stuff go. And then there's a spectrum of in between. So everybody just has to decide on their own because we're not all thinking the same. You know, so yeah, I guess at the end of the day, you know, 4 or 5 years later after all that has happened, I think people do deserve second chances.
I'd be interested to hear him address it.
Yeah, I don't know if he'll address it in such specificity, but I would say that I do think people deserve second chances. I would like to think that if we had said a bad joke in the past, and it was a joke actually, and then someone tries to bring it up from the past, that you're seen with some empathy. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, Shane Gillis, come on the pod. Prove it. Why don't you boost some Asians up?
Yeah.
If you're going to be ripping them down for comedy.
Yeah.
Not that I'm saying you fully meant it in your heart, but clearly you didn't care about saying it. Because actually there is a clip of Shane Gillis from like 10 years ago saying, I've been noticing that crowds, they're pretty much okay with you being racist towards Asians. And they find it really funny, but other groups are off limits. So he's almost just talking about the nature of the audience.
Right. He's just almost looking at it just almost
like a scientist, like probing around society. Where are the lines? Where are the electric fences that are invisible?
What I have observed is that, you know, you can make fun of Asians.
Anyway, let's just get into the comments section. Andrew, you got people who are quote unquote woke, not woke, you know, pale skinned feminists versus these broy guys called nacho beef nachos. Andrew, literally pale skinned feminists versus beef nachos. And they're going at it in a thread, like ding, 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 ding. One is a Shane Gillis fan. One is against Shane Gillis. I think most people are probably in the middle somewhere.
Well, I think a lot of people are like, dude, we have to stand by Shane Gillis because he represents comedy. Comedy in its purest form. Nothing's off limits. You can say whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I think he represents almost the Norm Macdonald. He reminds me of a more mentally sophisticated Will Sasso. You know, from Mad TV. There was a lot of argument about where he stands politically. Do you think it matters that since then, there was a New Yorker article that said that he is actually more like Stephen Colbert politically? Because Stephen Colbert is a very middle left guy. So I'm saying that there have been liberal publications that said we've analyzed him and he actually tracks as a younger, more bro-ish Stephen Colbert.
I guess, yeah, I do think so. I think so, but it's so funny because your fan base that can I mean, you know, some people view us as left liberal, and then, but we also have a lot of Republican followers too, to be honest. Like, in the comments section, that's what I gather from it. So, I don't know exactly what the split is, but people view us a certain way, but then our fans can be a certain way, so I don't know.
That's a good point. Ultimately, what do you think, man? This is blowing up on the internet right now. We can continue to watch Reddit threads that are elongating as we speak. We're talking about thousands of comments going back and forth.
I think overall, in my opinion, I guess he got his punishment back then. He lost his big breakthrough job. He clawed back. He built himself up. He hasn't fully made another big mistake on that level. He has proved himself to be funny. He's a true comedian. And so while I'm never going to champion him, you know, like, oh, this is the God, like he's not my favorite comedian, but he is funny. So he's made it back. So he did his time. It's like you all right, so you committed a crime. You went to jail for it. You served your time.
He did do Andrew Yang's podcast.
He did Andrew Yang's podcast, whether or not you agree with what Andrew Yang said about it initially. I disagree, because Andrew Yang initially said, I don't think Shane Gillis should have lost his job. That I disagree with Andrew Yang about. I think he should have lost the job, which he did, which was right. But now, since then, if the people love him and he's been a good person since then, whatever. I don't know. I'm not like tripping.
I'll tell you this, man. From what I've seen of him, incredibly funny. His comedy muscles are insane, plus playing with how he looks and his family background, everything. There's just so much tension, and he strums the comedy guitar in the room so beautifully. But I will say this, is that clearly America doesn't value racism against Asians. They don't really care because America's about money, and he's bringing the dollars back in, and that's just what it is.
Well, I mean, didn't they care, I guess, at first? But they just, they don't care anymore.
No, they don't care. And I don't think that that's the way things have ever worked. And you could say, you know, Dave Chappelle, he got canceled by the LGBTIQ community and he's back from it. But is he back? Is he not?
No,
you know, he's doing, Shane Gillis is doing Budweiser now. Does it show there's a monumental shift in the American narrative back towards the right? Because they went from Dylan Mulvaney to Shane Gillis, who's, even though, like I said, analysts have said that he's center left, but obviously his fan base hardcore more right, center right, if not right. So
maybe, but I don't know. I don't think all of his fan base is that way. I don't think you can plot his fan base necessarily because his fan base is going to be very but diverse.
I'm saying relative to a average comedian, more on the right side. That's what I think in terms of where the distribution on the plot chart is. But like I said,
think it's hard to say. I just think you have to ask yourself: did he do the time? Did he serve his time in career jail?
Yeah, in the sense of being out of the mainstream, and now the mainstream's willing to have him back, because obviously anybody, they can go do whatever they want independently whenever they want.
So I guess what I'm saying is he served his time. He did what the judge sentenced him to. He lost his job. That's fine. Years have passed. He built himself back up. It is what it is. To me, that's how I view it. So I guess ask yourself that. Is his punishment enough, or should he not be able to host SNL and get punished forever for his past comments? I mean, that's a personal thing.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just more reflective of the way things work and the way people handle Asian issues versus issues of other kinds. But then, of course, that goes into a trillion other things.
If this whole past few years, in my opinion, had he been making Asian jokes, I would say no. I really would. I'd be like, no, dude, you got to calm down. This dude got to shut up. But yeah, again, I guess like...
You know what I would say this, man? Comedy muscles and the way you use the comedy muscles, it's so different, man. He is a beast. I'm telling you, just straight off. I know unless you're really deep into comedy, you can't like see the visualization of comedy muscles. His are incredibly big. But anyway, let us know what you think in the comment section below. Until next time, we the Hot Pot Boys. We out. Peace.